Ladies and gentlemen, sit back and enjoy Mega Meeple.
Greetings and welcome to the Mega Meeple, the show all about gamers and the games that bring them together. This is episode 83. No, 82. It used to be 83, and then I changed it to 82. And you'll find out why in just a second. But before we get to that, if this is your first time here, hey, welcome. Glad you're here. Everybody is welcome here at the Mega Meeple gaming table, unless you're an a-hole, and then you could go somewhere else. I won't tell you where you go, but I think you know. I think you've been told before where you could go, and so anyway. But yeah, if this is your first time here, thank you so much for smashing that download button. And if you haven't already, when I say we, I mean we have a website that you could go to and see all kinds of stuff there. It's www.themegameeple.com, and we have all the social media stuffs there. And, we got the Facebooks and the Twitters and the Instagrams and the YouTube and all that stuff. And if you really like what's going on here, you could go to our Patreon page. And, I dropped Pod Pledge. Actually, if you go to the Mega Meeple YouTube channel and check out my February vlog, I explain why. But, I am strictly Patreon now. So, if you want to support this show, just go over there, and all the links are on the social media page on the website. So just consider the website as your tavern. You know how all RPGs start with the tavern. Your adventure starts at the tavern. So think of the website as your tavern for all things Mega Meeple and the unique adventures that you embark on as listening to this podcast. But, just go over there, and if you're, there's like different tiers and levels and stuff like that you can support, and as a result, you get some rewards and some perks and stuff like that. And, if you're not able to support the show, just spread the word. Every little bit helps, and just telling people about the show really helps a lot. If you haven't already, go over to iTunes and subscribe. Put out some 5-star love and leave us a happy review. Really helps us out as far as getting the podcast up and noticeable in the Apple sphere. But if you're not able or willing to do any of those things, hey, thanks for listening. So, there you go. But, so anyway... what was, haven't heard from me for about 2 weeks now. I did have a episode go out that was initially episode 82. That's why I kind of 83, 82 type of thing in the beginning here. But, it was a not safe for work episode. And I basically just went off on, One particular thing that's been really irritating me with the whole, particularly with some games and inclusiveness and of stuff of that nature, and I just dedicated the last episode where I just went off on it, and it was, I dropped one or two F-bombs, but the rest was just riddled with a grumpy gaming grandpa. Upon listening back onto it and just kind of chilling out with a cigar and a bourbon, got my blood pressure down, and then I went back and listened to it, and I was like, it's like, yeah, do I really want to do this out into the public? I mean, I've always prided myself in maintaining a family-friendly show here, but it was like not the topic in itself needs to be addressed. And if you listen to the show for any amount of time, especially going back, we talked about depression, we talked about suicide, we talked about sexism and sexual harassment and assault and all those kinds of things. So I'm not shy of I'm not going to shy away from the hard subjects and the things that are affecting the gaming community that need to be addressed. And it was this topic. So the whole topic of inclusiveness, or in this case, exclusion. I'll definitely go back to that topic and address it. But as they say, calmer heads prevail, and I think I'll definitely I'll address it in a more safe manner. But like I said earlier, it's like the topic needs to be addressed. But when I went back and listened to the actual episode, it was like I just the mannerism and the style that I came across with. It was like, I don't. I mean, I agree. Don't get me wrong. I have not changed my mind at all about my stance on that. So for those of you on Patreon who are on the executive producer level, who get the episode about 2 or 3 days early, consider yourself privileged because you have a copy of a episode that is not going to be produced or released to the general public. So, hold on to that thing, because I'm sure in a few years it'll be worth millions of dollars. It'll be a collector's item, and you could sell it on eBay for, a pretty good stash. So what has been hitting the game table this past few weeks? Well, I can tell you, if you go to the YouTube channel on my February vlog, I talk about I did try and receive the 7th Guest board game, and I talked more about that in my February vlog. But I'll just touch a little bit on it here. But bottom line basically is that Tom Vassal's review of that game, it's accurate. Say what you want about his reviews and whether you agree with him or not. But yeah, he was right in this respect that the 7th Guest board game is, it's crap basically. Now. If you have a family member or a friend that is not into board gaming, but they really like the Trivial Pursuit, give them 7th Guest, because that's basically what it is. It is Trivial Pursuit with the 7th Guest name slapped onto it. That's all it is. I wish, and I mentioned this on the YouTube channel. I wish to hell that Restoration Games got a hold of this IP. I think they would have done a far better job in revamping and bringing that game to the modern board gaming community. I just wish they got it. But as it is, 7th Guest, I played it one. And the thing was, it's not like it wasn't a game that, I don't like the theme, it's not for me. I was a big fan of the PC game back in the day. I loved that game. I played the hell out of it. And that's why I was, very hopeful for the board game. And yeah, unfortunately, it just did not deliver. Whoever designed or put that board game together, number one, I doubt very highly if they ever even played the original PC game. And number two, they don't know much about board games. So, I don't, or if they do know any of those two things, they've conveniently forgot it or ignored it. So yeah, all right. So I'll leave that at that. But yeah, Tom was right on that. Yeah, I'll leave that right there. But the one game that has come to my doorstep, and I am loving it, and that is Hate. And say what you will about Simon and the sort of like I don't know, maybe that it's a cash grab or whatever, but nobody can debate the fact that Simon does put together really great games with fantastic components. That is that one thing. You could like or dislike, or theme's not for you. That's fine, but component-wise and game design-wise, it is a solid game. I have been playing the hell out of that game ever since I got it. Now, I did have some people over, and we did like a one-off, like standalone mission, and that's all fine and good, but this game really, really was designed and created from the standpoint of it's a campaign game. This game needs to be played over a series of skirmishes, what they call clashes, over a period of time in a campaign mode. Now, they call campaign in the game a chronicle. That's the thing about the game. They give, it's almost like Netrunner. They give these arbitrary terms to common gaming that, a battle is a clash. A campaign is a chronicle. It's just, so, and basically the refresh phase they call intermission. So it's like, yeah, okay, whatever. But this game really, in order to get the full effect, you got to play the game via campaign mode, and the core box plays up to 4. Even though I think there's like 8 tribes in the core box alone, plus there's 3 additional expansion tribes that you could get. It just adds more things to, and now with the profanity and stuff like that. The rule book has some profanity in it. It's not like every other word and everything, but there's particularly. When you roll for scars, you do a battle, and whoever's knocked out in the battle, you have to roll for scars, and some of the scars are, you're effed up or something like that. And so the wording on that is kind of, and then depending on what tribe you play, really is dependent on how much of there are some tribes that the artwork is, overtly, sexual and violent. There's some sporadic profanity in the cards and a description of the card. But really, it's there are tribes in there in the core box that don't have any profanity in their decks. But so if you have somebody that's adverse to that type of thing, give them that tribe. So and I can't remember off the top of my head what tribes that they have really weird names. It's like Garn, Rock, and basically people in the apocalyptic era. If you in this particular universe, English is pretty much just forgotten. People forgot how to speak English or any language for that matter. They just rock. So, but yeah, the miniatures, the artwork, the components, everything is stellar. But yeah, if you could get a group of 4 people together total that can commit to playing a campaign, you could do a full campaign and just only schedule 1 game night a month. That's all. Just dedicate 1 night a month, and you could play a 4-player campaign and finish it in 3 months. It would just take 3 plays of doing a clash. And basically, a clash is, player versus player. One's the attacker, one's the defender, and you go through a mission. And once that mission, 4 rounds to complete the mission. And once that mission is over, you basically switch roles. The defender becomes the attacker, and vice versa. And then you do another mission. You can't play the same mission on both battles. And once both of those battles are done, that's a clash, and then you go into the refresh, or what they call the intermission phase, and that's where you roll for the scars, you get the upgrades and stuff like that. So, yeah, even though they have rules for one-offs or standalone missions, you really don't. If you play those, you really don't get the full flavor and the full effect of what this game was designed to do. And then they have also special rules for if you have 3 players. You could do a free-for-all. You could do 2 versus 1. Or if you have 4 players, you could do 2 versus 2 and kind of team up type of thing. Now, if you want to do up to 6 to 8 players, you need to get the Battlegrounds expansion, which adds the additional cards and the additional board and so forth to be able to accommodate that player count. But so at this point, and this is one of those things that it was a Kickstarter exclusive. It was the only way to get it, and all the stuff, at least at their price, is through the Kickstarter. It is available in the aftermarket, but you're going to be paying a pretty penny. You're going to be having to maybe sacrifice your firstborn, maybe a few appendages to get the aftermarket. But it is, if you look on, I'm sure if you look on BGE or eBay, you'll find it out there. Welcome back to the Mega Meeple, and we always like to talk about Kickstarters, and this one was this Kickstarter really hit it out of the park because it funded in not even a half a day. it got fully funded. So and we have the publisher here with us today, and we're talking about Gardens of Babylon, published by Cackleberry Games. And we have Rob Thompson with us today. How you doing, Rob?
Hey, doing quite well. Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, thanks for coming on. I'm sure now that the Kickstarter is over, you guys are taking a breather, but getting ready to kick it into high gear here pretty soon, if you haven't already. So how things? How are you guys feeling about the game so far, and how successful it was on Kickstarter?
Yeah, so it did really well, as you mentioned. We'd been working on Gardens of Babylon for over the last year. We met the designer, whose name is Stavros, back in Cyprus, where we were living and working in the video game industry. And he happened to design board games. So we formed Cackleberry Games and decided to publish Gardens of Babylon, attended UK Games Expo, attended Gen Con, did a lot of play testing, building up the community, through our Facebook page and through working with different groups. And yeah, we launched at a really busy time, but we're really fortunate to have a lot of people who are excited about the game. And as you mentioned, it funded in 9 hours, and I think it closed at about 1,800 backers. So for our first campaign, we're really humbled with the results that we got, and now we're really working hard on getting all the manufacturing details finalized and getting the pledge manager set up for late pledges, which will be available the first week of March. So yeah, that's kind of a quick background overview and how it went. So yeah, like I said, it was a really great experience and a lot of learning on how to run a campaign. But the community was really forthcoming with their advice, and there's a lot of really great information out there. So yeah, we're really excited with how it went and can't wait to publish more games.
Okay, cool. So yeah, if it that's always sort of like the most difficult hurdle to jump over is that first one. But I don't know. I've heard sometimes it's like, well, maybe the second game that you somebody designs or publishes that's the one that's really hard to get over because you now that you had a really good success story here, it's like, okay, well now that that one goes out, it's like, well, okay, well now we got to do something just as good, if not better, so that the pressure is on, type of thing. But right now we're just reveling in the success of Gardens of Babylon. Now that is coming out later on this year. And now, is for those of people out there that missed the Kickstarter, will there be a late pledge, or will it be available to order through a website?
Yeah, you'll be able to late pledge through our pledge manager, which will be posting on our Kickstarter campaign in the updates. So that'll be, and then also you can find it on our Facebook page as well, which is Cackleberry Games.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and we'll have all those things links posted in the show notes of this episode. Now, can you tell us about how that initial first meeting with the designer went, and what was it about the game that really piqued your interest?
Yeah, really great question. So we had actually met Stavros playing Dungeons and Dragons, so we had already been building a relationship with him, and of course, slaying some imaginary monsters and whatnot. So yeah, and one day he happened to just mention that he had been designing board games. He had rented an office to do play testing. He was really serious about it. So we asked him to bring over the game that he thought was the furthest along and had the best kind of product market fit. And he brought over Gardens of Babylon, and we played it several times. And I think really what stood out was the unique cascade mechanic that is in the game. And it's a take that mechanic, but it really creates emergent gameplay and interaction between players, which is really it's not something you see a lot in these types of Euro games. And it's also, I think, some other elements that really caught our attention was how accessible it was, or how easy it was to jump into, but also that the game was fairly language independent as well. There was no writing in the game except for the rule book. So that's why we also translated the rules into French, Spanish, German, and Italian to make sure that we'd be able to allow players in different parts of the world to experience it as well. So yeah, that was really what stood out to us. I think it's the cascade mechanic, the unique tiles. There's 78 unique tiles in the game. They form a modular board that forms a ziggurat. So yeah, it was really unlike anything else we'd ever seen, and I think that's also why it did so well in Kickstarter, was just that it had a really clear, unique selling point right from the get-go. Yeah.
Yeah, I know when I saw the game, that one of the first things that sparked a memory in me is the whole. It kind of reminded me like Chutes and Ladders type of thing, where it's. So that was one of the things that when I saw that, I was like, oh, all right. So it sparked a memory, a fond memory in me of my childhood and playing the games that were popular way back then, and then plus just like you said, the unique mechanics of it. It's real easy to learn, real easy, but it's one of those things where it's like as the game goes on, yeah, it starts to, you know, you have to start really strategizing. It's like, you know, okay, all right, let's buckle down and get shit serious because some of the as the more tiles get placed, I guess there's less options available for you to
Correct.
that you have to really, uh, you know, pick and choose your strategy and your approach very, you know, I guess purposefully. But when you guys were playtesting at the cons and in the public, what was like the general feedback, and how did the game I guess morph over time as a result of that feedback?
Yeah, it's a really great question. So we tried to go with a systematic approach for playtesting. We didn't want to just do playtests for the sake of playtesting because obviously, as a we're always biased towards our game. We think we think they're great, but I think a game succeeds or fails with how it really is received from players. So when we did numerous playtests outside of the cons, but at the cons, the first focus for UK Games Expo was just making sure that the core game loop was fun. So we went there with prototype art. And in that event, we found that the game really resonated with actually a broader audience than we anticipated, which also was reflected in some of the feedback in the Kickstarter as well. We had families playing it. We had 10, 12-year-olds playing as a group. And again, although the game can seem cutthroat, it has this accessible theme which allows maybe a family who maybe not be, who maybe not be accustomed to playing a midweight Euro game or a game that take that mechanic, but it got really competitive and we found that they really enjoyed it. So that was a really great piece of feedback that helped us hone in on our audience. There was also, I think, a player who mentioned that they really enjoyed the theme and how it was kind of a competitive gardening game. So we really started to leverage that in some of our marketing and our messaging. We also got some great feedback about adding the base tiles to keep the game more stable. So we added those into the game, which allowed the tiles to not move around, and also got some great feedback around the visibility of the actual tiles themselves, the irrigation and the navigation patterns. So that which informed our next playtest, which was at Gen Con. At Gen Con, we had the final art for the game, or the pre-final art, and so that was really where we were validating. Can players understand the information that is on the tiles? And also did some playtesting around the solo rules as well. So that was really around the kind of, UK Games Expo was around the core gameplay and the mechanics, and Gen Con was around the art and doing some blind playtests with the rule book as well, as we wanted to get feedback on the rules before we sent it out to reviewers so that they could really understand how the game was played and effectively communicate that to their audiences.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get into that as far as can you explain to us for those of people out there who haven't seen maybe one of the preview videos or heard of the game, how does the game what mechanicals are involved, how does it play out, and what's the winning
Sure.
victory conditions?
Sure. Yeah, and I'll also say, for anyone who's interested, I think the video on the Kickstarter page and our page does a really great job of explaining the game. It is it is visual, so when I explain it, it may be difficult to imagine how the game is played, but I'll do my best. So, as an overview, Gardens of Babylon is a 1 to 4 player tile laying Euro strategy game. It plays about 30 minutes to 60, depending on the number of players and depending on how long it takes for players to complete their turns. And some of the mechanics that are involved, as I mentioned, is tile laying, take that. There is a bit of worker movement, not necessarily worker placement, and it does feature a modular board that is unique every time that you play. So how the game is played is you set up the base tile, and the base tile is there to actually. I should first probably start with sort of what the game is about and how you win. So the object of the game is to get the most points, and you gain points by planting seeds on the tiles, and the higher up you plant your seeds, the more points you get, and you also get more points for having seeds planted on tiles that have certain iconography, like a flower. So you want to get the most points. The way the game is played is each round you're essentially placing tiles and moving a meeple and planting a seed. And there are some mechanics that allow you to move up higher up by interacting with other meeples. And then you can also cascade down onto enemy gardeners with the cascade mechanic, which means if the waterfalls are connected, then the cascade flows down and you can steal your opponent's points. So like I said, I think it's best to check out the video. But if you're into Euro games, if you're into ancient strategy games, definitely worth checking out. And I think the game has a lot of unique player interaction mechanics. But yeah, that's a kind of a brief overview. It's just every round you're placing tiles, you're moving your meeples up and down the navigation patterns, and then you're trying to cascade down your opponents. So it's sort of a tactical. It requires strategic planning, but also it's very tactical as well. So similar to Carcassonne in that sense, but a lot more competitive.
Okay. Now, with the player interaction, I want to. We talked about the player interaction, but it also plays solo mode as well. I mean,
Correct.
So how does how is the solo play different or tweaked compared to the multiplayer?
Yeah, so in solo, you're actually playing against the king. And what that means is you're trying to, there's sort of an AI rule of how the king will respond and what he'll do every turn. And from some of the feedback we got from some of the reviewers and playtesters, it's actually fairly competitive and difficult. You tend to actually, in that game mode, be scoring a lot more points. But yeah, I think that the solo mode is a really great highlight. And we also added an expansion to the game as well, which adds a black seed. It's called the Assyrian expansion, which essentially is there's a black meeple kind of roaming around the board, and if you roll a 6 on a d6, then that black meeple will actually cause a poison to happen on the board, which doesn't allow any more seeds to be planted there, which creates some interesting gameplay moments as well. Yeah, so solo mode is sort of against this AI king, and then we have this Assyrian expansion as well, which was really well received. We had over 90% of backers went for the deluxe edition, which included the Assyrian expansion, so that was really, really great. And that included also the custom meeples as well, with the custom seeds, which are individually shaped.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So that's good because I mean for people that live out in the middle of nowhere or maybe may not have a very vibrant gaming or a lot of people friends that game. I know solo is a big thing, and hell, even even in my area where there's a lot of gaming stores and gaming communities, and I think we have like 2 or 3 different board game clubs that meet variety. So even in a very over oversaturated landscape of gamers in the area, it's hard to find enough players that have an evening free just to come over and play a game. So solo, we got to revert to solo at that point. So it's good to see that solo is you're still getting the taste and the theme of the game. That it's still integral to the multiplayer rather than just it's just something that was slapped on as an afterthought. I see you had solo mode was planned for this thing from day one. You had solo rules set up.
Yep. Yeah, we wanted to, I mean, I see some campaigns will add the solo rules as a stretch goal, which is a bit artificial because you have to kind of design that. You can't design that, on the fly. But we wanted to provide that from day one, just to show we were really serious about it. So that was a really important choice for us. Yeah.
Yes. So I know from that just gives marks to designers and people that have the gamers in mind that know that, I mean, either they understand what it is to be a gamer, or they're a gamer themselves, that they know the challenges that a lot of gamers have, and it's like, well, okay, this mother of invention type of thing. It's like, okay, well, I want to make sure that this my game addresses those type of challenges and problems. So, and also I got on a Board Game Geek. Garden of Babylon was voted the most anticipated historical game of 2019.
Yeah, that was really exciting. We actually were nominated for that. Our community voted for us actually during the campaign, which was really great to see. It really helped us out there. So yeah, we're really humbled and proud that we were able to get that accomplishment for our first game. So it's really exciting for us.
That's neat. So yeah, so congratulations on a successful first game. It looks like you guys have really hit it out of the park the first time out. Now, is there like a second game that you could talk about that's coming down the pipeline that you'll be using to follow up the success on Gardens of Babylon?
Yeah, so we have a couple in mind, both from Stavros and also some other designers. We're also going to be, soliciting designs from other designers as well. So if you are a designer listening, we'd love to hear from you. My email is rob@cackleberry.games. But yeah, we're gonna really focus on delivering Gardens of Babylon. I think by summer we'll start thinking about and narrowing down which game we're going to be doing next. But really want to make sure that we can continue to level up the quality bar from I think from Gardens of Babylon to so that players can expect something even more awesome in terms of the value of the game and the quality of components and the Kickstarter video. We want to really try to improve the experience and also our own knowledge of Kickstarter and manufacturing games as we go forward. So I think that's what I can share so far. But we really want to focus on delivering Babylon to backers on time or even ahead of schedule, as I think that's really critical for us, kind of getting our reputation marked in the industry.
All right, good. Yeah, very good. Good to hear. And yeah, is it from the looks of it, Gardens of Babylon is a really good beginning right out of the gate for you guys and girls. So congratulations on that, and looking forward to getting the game and playing it and building some gardens here. So. But so again, if people want to find out more about you or Cackleberry Games or the game, where could they go?
Yeah, so I think the best place, it really, we're on every platform. So if you're on Instagram, you can search Cackleberry Games there. On Twitter, Cackleberry BG, and then on Facebook, Cackleberry Games. It's where we do a lot of our interaction with our community. And then of course we're on Board Game Geek, where you can find all the rule books and kind of more core information about the product. So yeah, I think that's the best place to keep track of us. Like I said, we'll be coming up with the Pleasure Manager in about early March. So we hope to see some of you there. And if you have any questions about the game or how it's played, you definitely don't hesitate to reach out to me. My email is rob@cackleberry.games. So I'm always happy to talk to players and even hop on a call and answer any questions. So feel free to reach out to us with anything.
Okay.
Always happy to engage. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's important too. It's like when publishers or designers are very ingrained and in tune with the players and their fans and followers and stuff. I mean, even after the Kickstarter is over with, it's the constant interaction. Because I mean, I know we talk about it here at the podcast. Is like it's all about friendships and relationships and social connections. We just gaming and board gaming is just the common denominator, or that medium that we use to foster those friendships. So it speaks volumes when a company or designer is very much interacting with the gamers and with the fans of the game. So kudos to all of you for doing that, and so we're looking at, if everything goes well, estimated delivery to the backers in November of 2019. And
Correct.
of course, we'll have links to all those social media things and contact information in the show notes of this episode. Well, Rob, thank you so much for being with us today. Appreciate it very much. Now, but before we leave, we like to play like a little game with all of our guests. Has nothing to do with games. It's just a little trivial, fun thing that we like to do. It's just a little game that we like to play. And
Sure.
I'll say like cats or dogs, and you say which one you like more. All right.
All right.
All right. First up is Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter.
Oh man, this is difficult. I would have to say Lord of the Rings.
All right. Early bird or night owl.
Ooh, Night Owl.
Alrighty. Ice cream or yogurt.
Ice cream.
Alrighty. Here's probably another. Well, Yanni or Laurel. I just.
Yanni.
Yeah. That's. I think for every one person who would answer that, there's at least two other people to say the other. I don't know. I keep hearing Yanni, but hey, that's just me. And the last one, money or fame.
Ooh, I don't know. That's kind of a trick question. I think well, I think with money you can do a lot of good in the world, and also create better games. So I think money is more tangible, and you can create better products for players. So I can go with money. I think fame. I don't really know if there's a whole lot of value that there's not really a lot you can do for other people with fame. But I think with money, I think that gives you a position where you can help other people and create value for other people. So
Okay.
I think that's probably what I would say. Yeah,
All right. Very good.
very psychological kind of thinking, but I think that's how I'd answer. Yeah, money.
That's neat. All right. Well, thank you so much, Rob. And again, it's Gardens of Babylon, published by Cackleberry Games. So look for that showing up if you got into Kickstarter or the lay pledge. Look for that to show up at your doorstep just before the holidays, I guess. I think hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah,
Be a good Christmas gift from to yourself, from yourself, type of thing.
exactly.
All
You
right.
could buy two copies, one for yourself, one for a friend, and we're gonna have to get you a copy as well. So let's make that happen. So definitely make sure you're getting a copy to check out, on us on the house. So
Oh, okay.
definitely want to make that happen. Yeah,
Thank you.
no
So,
problem.
all right.
All right, thank you much. Thank you so much for having me on the show, and thanks to everyone for listening. Again, this is Rob with Cackleberry Games, and hopes everyone has a good rest of your week. Take care, guys.
Thank you. Take care. Alrighty then. Well, thank you so much for smashing that download button. And you will want to come back next week, as my guest is Steve Spawn of Abled Gamers. That is going to be a really cool interview. Abled Gamers basically is a charity that provides customized controllers and peripheral things to enable disabled people the access to gaming. And he has some really heartwarming stories about how that has really changed the lives of disabled gamers out there. You definitely want to come back and listen to that. Have your Kleenexes ready, because I got a lump in my throat talking with Steve during that interview. So it's a really fantastic, a beautiful thing that they're doing. You want to come back next week and listen to that. So in the meantime, thank you so much for listening. Again, go to the website, www.megameeple.com. Check out all the archives of episodes that we've done for the past, year and a half or so. And then all of our social media stuff is listed right there. And if you want to support the show, go to our Patreon and the link to iTunes so you can subscribe there and leave a review. So all that. And thank you so much again for listening. I appreciate it very much. So until next time, this is Tom, the Mega Meeple, saying we'll see you at the gaming table.